First pitch, 7:10.
Temperature at game time is 43 degrees. The wind's out of the northwest at 8.
Coco with 20 stolen bases last year. We're looking for his first stolen base of this season. The Royals, which is 2 stolen bases in their first 6 games.
I'm sure Coco has a green light, but to this point in the season, I don't think he's been on enough to where he's really comfortable reading the pitchers and getting the good jumps. 1-2 counts are usually good running counts. They're usually breaking ball counts. Managers really don't pitch out a lot. So this would be a good count for him to run on right here.
Not going, and it's 2-2 on to Jesus.
I think Carmona is going with that slide step, and that slide step is throwing him off a little bit. And the Rusty Wright probably hadn't picked up anything to give him an edge. But a lot of times when you are as fast as Coco, you just go first move, watch the back heel, make sure the heel doesn't come up, and you know he's going to the plate.
Kevin Schenk reminding me that the 2 stolen bases so far this year coming from a couple of guys that aren't available tonight, Alex Gordon and Jose Guillen.
Alex, I believe, if he ever gets his bat going on a consistent basis, he's capable of stealing 20 bases a season. He's that good an athlete.
This is the 3rd straight hitter that has had 3 balls, 2 strikes against Carmona. So if anything, the Royals are making him throw pitches. This will be the 20th of the inning. This time Crisp is not running, and David takes ball 4. So 2 walks, with a fly out sandwich in between, and 2 on for Mark Tien.
Well, I couldn't see any reason for him not to be running there. He probably didn't read the pitcher good and probably just shut it down. But Trey plays the percentages a lot of times too. So if he's timing Carmona to the plate, he may feel that if Coco doesn't get a good jump and David misses the pitch, he's looking at a double play.
Mark Tien, 3 hits, 2 runs scored in the Yankees series. As Coco down at second, De Jesus at first. Tien better than a .420 hitter against Fausto Carmona, who throws one right across the knees for strike 1.
Yeah, pitchers are usually slower to the plate with a man on second base than they are with a man on first. So we'll see if Coco will try to pick a pitch to steal third.
One and one.
Yeah, the catcher, when the catcher comes out front, he'll give a sign, and it'll tell whether, okay, if he goes, well, I'm going to throw to third, I'm going to go to second. So David, his main concern right now is watching Coco and making sure that he goes before he goes, and that's tough when you don't know when a guy's going to run.
Slicing to the line in left field, and Trevor Crowe won't get there. It's foul. So 1 ball, 2 strikes. That was a count on De Jesus, who eventually reached with a walk. Trevor Crowe got his first major league hit yesterday in Cleveland against the Toronto Blue Jays.
You can see what he did to that bat before. He was so frustrated he broke his bat over his leg.
Oh. Here's what Frank was talking about. David De Jesus early on looking at the plate and then looking down at Coco Crisp, looking over towards his right shoulder to keep an eye on Coco until the pitch comes in. He's not looking at the pitcher there, he's looking at Coco to see if he takes off.
And what David really wants to do is make sure if he does go, he'll get a good jump.
This is right before the pitch.
Yeah, his focus is totally there.
Into center field. One hop to Sizemore, but they're going to send Coco to the plate. And the Royals have a 1-0 lead. So David De Jesus and Mark Tien down in the count against Fausto Carmona. De Jesus the walk. Tien comes through with the RBI.
What Mark does well here, Ryan, is he gets his hands inside, and David gets a good secondary off first base, and Coco gets a good secondary off second base, and that's what allowed him to be able to score, along with his speed on that hard hit ball that Sizemore has a great arm in center field. And we talked a little bit about how well the hitters, how well Chu brought his hands in to hit that ball and keep it fair down on the right field line. Mark did the same thing on that fastball. He really kept his hands inside and to hit that line drive to center field.
Kevin Seitzer smiling about that. You know, of course he's smiling about the hit in the RBI, but building on what you just said, he's probably most happy about his hitter being down in the count 1-2 and maybe pulling back just a little bit to make sure he made contact.
Right, watch how he pulls his hands in here and really gets inside that ball and just drives it right into center field. He could have easily rolled over on that pitch right there and hit a ground ball to first base.
So now the same situation for Billy Butler. First and second, one out. First time all year the Royals have scored in the first. This past series with the Yankees, they watched New York score 2 in the first on Friday, 2 in the first on Saturday, and 1 in the first yesterday.
Yeah, managers will always tell you the tone of the game is set in the first 2 innings. So you go out there ready to play the first 2 innings and take charge, hopefully get on the board first, then it could be your game.
One and one on Billy, who had one of the key at-bats to get that rally going yesterday. It's got to be a confidence builder for him. To go up there with 2 outs, nobody on. Not anxious at all at the plate, taking the walk. Next thing you know, the Royals have 3.
Some of your bigger rallies start with walks. Walks start more rallies than hits most times. So pitchers give you that free base, and managers are able to put different plays on. If you walk the wrong guy, and now you got a guy that can steal bases, be on second, third. So a lot of bad things happen when you walk. You know, Minnesota used to have this little graphic on their scoreboard when you walk guys in the dome. They would say, walks will haunt. It's like a little white ghost that kind of floats across the screen.
And it's true. Well, 2 walks in this inning. Coco to open the inning. Then with 1 out, DeJesus down 1-2, walked. Martin down 1-2, singled home Crisp. Now 2-2 on Butler. And Billy lays off a borderline pitch. That's the kind of pitch that Fausto Carmona banks on. A hitter's going to take a swipe at.
That's a good ball down. It got a little sink to it, and he got one questionable the first call and tried to go back down there and see if he can get a second one.
The Royals are making him work 30 first inning pitches. So how about that for setting the tone? Hammered into deep center field. Sizemore gets turned around and it's over his head. DeJesus got a late break. He'll come home to score. Tian may have been able to score, but he had to wait on DeJesus. Either way, the Royals lead 2-0 and have 2 runners in scoring position. You can't hit it much harder than Billy Butler just did.
Well, that's true. Just listen to this sound off the ball coming off Billy's bat. Well, he really got extended on that. And that's Billy's alley right there. I mean, he can drive the ball as far to center field as anyone. Right here, David is not quite sure because when Grady Sizemore made that last turn, David couldn't tell whether or not he was going to catch that ball or not. And Tian did a great job of base running, just being able to be at second base with a chance to score.
I don't know if Grady Sizemore meant to do that, but he sure had not only DeJesus, but I was wondering too if he had a play. I mean, he was going back on that ball like he was going to make the play, and that kept another runner from scoring.
What Billy's ball to do sometimes when he hits it like that, it'll slice toward the right center field. This is like a left-handed pull hitter, and Sizemore made 2 turns, and I think that last turn he made probably threw David off.
So Tian at third, Butler at second, Mike Jacobs at the plate. Down, no balls, 2 strikes. Jacobs, after going hitless in the White Sox series, 3 hits, a couple of doubles, and an RBI against the Yankees.
or Mike Jacobs' swing, you would think that Carmona would play into his swing also. He's definitely a low ball hitter out over the plate and from middle end. So Carmona makes a mistake down. Jacobs should be right on it.
This is the first at bat for Jacobs against Carmona. Just missed hitting his first home run of the season late in the game yesterday against the Yankees by less than a foot. Hit an absolute rocket into the right field corner. 1 ball, 2 strikes. If the Yankees were to hold on and win that game, you could talk about a couple of inches. Jacobs just missing the home run and Xavier Nady just getting it fair inside the line, but Royals coming up with 3 in the 8th. And Jacobs, that thing might hit the Sheridan out there, but just a little bit out in front. But boy, he can really get around on one and definitely squared that one up just a little bit out in front.
Well, that's true. This is a good pitcher for him to face, and he's just geared for that ball middle in, down, and he can turn on that ball. He gets in trouble when he wants to chase the ball borderline up out over the plate, and he hits around it rather than stand through it like he did in the Yankee series. He'll have some success.
Sure, he'd like to have that pitch back. Carmona's sinker didn't do a whole lot of sinking.
Well, he's pitching up a lot more for a sinker baller. That means he may be a little too strong. He gets a little tired in the game a little later. It might start to sink, but hopefully he's gone by then.
And that's pretty common, too. Getting back to what we've been talking about all inning, a lot of sinker ball pitchers might take them an inning or two to get some fatigue and more movement on their pitches.
Right, most of them don't throw 94 miles an hour.
Very high into shallow center field. Sizemore calling everyone off, and Tien just forcing the throw. So 2 down on the fly out to center field.
That looks like Jacobs got a pitch he could handle, just got under it. It's a ball out of the plate. Had a good swing at it, but just got a little bit under it. You can see the ball starting to run away a little bit. Just slid right off the bat, got under the pitch, and hit a pop up.
And Alberto Callaspo. That's into right field. Could score 2. They're going to send Billy. Nope. Stop sign. And Shin-Soo Choo, who has a great arm. The throw was offline. But Dave Owen looking at that matchup, Billy Butler's speed or lack thereof and Choo's arm, put up the stop sign. Callaspo does move up to second base.
Well, a lot of time you gamble with 2 outs, and you know you got to run in, and you can gamble with that other one. But Dave Owen really felt Billy Butler probably didn't get a good jump off second base, so he held him up. Alberto Callaspo did a great job reading the throw, though. The throw was up, and he continued into second base.
So it's a 3-run first inning.
Well, Callaspo read that high throw. Normally, when you hit a ball like that, you're taught anything above the up that's hit high or low, you freeze. But if it's up, the air mails like Choo did on that one. You just keep going.
This is a 39-pitch inning for Fausto Carmona.
Another thing you can do too, Ryan, in that situation, if you hit the ball and you hustle out of the box and you get around first, and the throw from the right fielder is down, then a lot of times you can send that runner and hope they cut the ball, thinking they can get the runner going to second base. It's called exchanging it out for a run with 2 outs.
Miguel Olivo 1 for 6 in the Yankee series. That's a nasty pitch.
That's unhittable.
Butler at third, Callaspo at second. And Martinez hangs on. The inning comes to an end. The Royals bat 8. Carmona throws 42 pitches. And the Royals get 3. Mark Teahan driving home Coco Crisp. Billy Butler. Home a run, scoring a run himself. And the Royals 3-run first. Let's check in again with Joe Goldberg.
All right, guys, we're out here, Outfield Experience. How about the barbecue? We got Keith and Steve here, and look at this food. Cheesy corn, beans, ribs. We got the sliced beef, pulled pork. How about the chop? All 3 kinds of burn ends. Beef, we got pork and ham. And then there's the turkey. There's some ham. There's some beef burn ends. The pickles on the end. This is the spot to be. Hey, I don't care how cold it is. Check this out. Frank, I know you want some of this.
Hey, Joel, you know the way to the booth?
Oh, yeah.
Does he know the way to the napkins?
See you guys later. Not for a while either. Back to you.
Thanks, Joel.
What a job he has.
Ryan Garko leads off for Cleveland. It wasn't an easy first inning for Zach. Did pitch a scoreless first and had a couple of strikeouts, but needed a couple of good plays on defense as well. Billy Butler knocking a ball down that was headed for right field. The Royals did not record an out, but that may have saved a run. And then Tony Pena Jr. making a great play on a ground ball from Johnny Peralta to end the inning. 93 on the stadium radar gun. It'll be Ryan Garko, Tony Graffinino, and Trevor Crow in the second inning. Reaching back for a little extra, that was at 95. Royals pitched Ryan Garko well last year. It's just .224 against the Royals, and just going over the numbers, Indians hitters either hit really well or really poorly against KC last year. Really no gray area. Guys either hit 350 or 360, or they hit anywhere from 120 to 230.
Just kind of compiled all the offense in the second half of the season.
Most runs scored in all the major leagues in the second half. Garko's still alive. Olivo telling Greinke to shake off a sign, and now another 2-2. Did he go? No. Dan Isonia is the umpire down at first base.
held it back. So we call him some strong wrists right there. That's a pitch that calls that hamate bone fracture.
On the corner. I think Garco had a feeling that was going to be a strike, just hoping that Sam Holbrook wouldn't call it.
Well, the first one was a slider, but this is a fastball, so he gets a better look at the fastball and that's at the slider. Ryan Garco, I believe, thought the ball was down.
Seen a lot of strikeouts this year, and as far as last year goes, here are the Toyota League leaders. Brinke and Mesh tying for 5th last year, both at 183. A.J. Burnett now with the Yankees, led the league with the Blue Jays. The Royals coming in tonight, 2nd in the American League in strikeouts, and with Brinke's 3, that's 57 strikeouts in 6+ games. Former Royal Tony Graffinino played with the Royals parts of 04, 05, 06. I don't know how many players have the distinction of being traded away twice by the Royals, but Graffinino was traded to the Red Sox and then re-signed with the Royals later that same offseason, and then traded to the Milwaukee Brewers. Can you name the players that the Royals got in return for Tony Graffinino?
No, I can't. I was in
You're not going to try?
I was in Wichita.
What, they don't have newspapers there? Deep short. It's going to be a long throw for TJ. And Billy with a stretch to help him out. 2 down in the 2nd inning. So with 2 down, we'll check in with our Time Warner Turbo Speed pitch. Zach at 95, Carmona at 93. Fast, just got even faster. You can double your speed with Roadrunner Turbo from Time Warner Cable. So 2 down for Trevor Crow. Former 1st-round pick of the Indians back in 2005 out of the University of Arizona. A switch hitter. One and one. Indians traded away Franklin Gutierrez during the offseason. They were really loaded in the outfield with Trevor Crow coming up. Gutierrez now playing for the Seattle Mariners. From Oregon, he had scholarship offer to play baseball at the University of Arizona. He also had a scholarship offer to play football at Oregon State, so a very good athlete. And the player that he is sometimes compared to is Coco Crisp, who was a switch hitting outfielder with the Indians. Fast, and every now and then can lean into one and hit it out of the ballpark. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
I wonder if he's going to be one of those guys that the Indians eventually hope to work down in the order in the number 2 spot, and give him another stolen base threat. Kind of remind me of when they had Lofton, Alomar, and Vizquel up near the top.
That was no fun at all, was it?
Now when he was followed by Albert Bell,
Manny Ramirez,
and
Jim Thome. Oh.
It was almost like they had 2 kind of games in one going. They had the speed game on top and the power all the way down the middle. I
thought those 3 guys, Alomar, Well, in order, it was Lofton, Vizquel, and Alomar. 1, 2, 3 for the Indians for years. Those three guys were as unnerving as anyone. You didn't know if they were going to bunt. You didn't know if they were going to swing away. And then when guys were on base, all of them had some speed. Look at that backdoor slider. 4 strikeouts for Zach. So he's starting to feel it, getting a lot of help from his defense. This play by Tony Pena Jr. in the first, and then backing it up with this one in the second. Guys, on a cold night at brand new Kauffman Stadium, Tony Pena Jr. leads off against Carmona, taking a strike. 2 good plays on defense. TJ saving a run with his play in the first against Johnny Peralta, and then with 1 out in the second, throwing out Tony Graffinino from deep short. And now Graffinino has a chance to pay him back and throws him out. This is game 1 of 3. Same time tomorrow night. 7:10 first pitch, on the air at 6:30 with Royals Live with Joel Goldberg. Kyle Davies will make his second start, going up against Carl Pavano, a pitcher that the Indians gambled on. He's been injured quite a bit. He is right now the Indians' number 3 starter, so both teams' number 3s hooking up tomorrow. Coverage begins at 6:30, and it's all in HD. Well, Frank, you said teams can set the tone in the first 2 innings, and Coco really set the tone against Carmona, working a long at bat, eventually walking and scoring the game's first run.
Well, that's kind of the leadoff guy's responsibility. Anytime he's leading off and he doesn't have that power, that consistent home run power, you might as well try to work the count and try to make the pitcher pitch and hopefully get a walk and get on base and use what some of your God gives to you, your legs, and try to change the game. You can get on first. Sometimes a guy that's fast is better off to get on first and divide the pitcher's attention for the next hitter. It might do the next hitter a favor.
Three and 1. 2 years ago, Fausto Carmona coming out of nowhere and going 19-8 for the Indians. The year before, he was 1-10 as a starter and a reliever. Home plate umpire Sam Holbrook has been calling that all night. 3 balls, 2 strikes. But then last year, Carmona dealt with a hip injury. His ERA was about 5.5. Plus, the league was paying more attention to him after winning 19 games the year before. Still 3-2.
A pitcher like Carmona, Ryan, needs to have an umpire that's friendly. He wants to pitch down in the zone. He needs those strikes down. If the umpire's not giving him the down strike and forces him to come up, now his ball straightens out, and then that could be a long day for a single baller.
Well, what a sinker baller wants to do is to try and get a left-hand batter to pull it and roll it to the right side. And Coco doing a good job of staying back and not getting the ball in between the lines, but all of his foul balls off to the left side.
Well, the ball's running away from him. I'd be surprised if they don't come inside and try to steal that inside corner with the same pitch.
Back to Carmona. Good play. So after making 42 pitches in the first inning and facing 8, 2 up, 2 down in the second inning. And that'll bring up Mike Aviles out in a fly ball to center field in the first inning. Carmona, 6'4", 190 pounds, out of the Dominican Republic. Right to Johnny Peralta, and it's a good thing he caught it. So the sinker baller gets 3 ground balls in the bottom of the second inning. His friend Bob Friskel, who collapsed with a heart attack while playing handball at the local YMCA. So congratulations and welcome to Kauffman Stadium, Jim Hall of Lenexa, Kansas. Number 9 hitter Asdrubal Cabrera taking strike 1. Zach Greinke has struck out 4 in the first 2 innings. Struck out Sizemore to open the game, and then Hafner in the first, and then Garco and Crow in the second. Cabrera, Sizemore, and Chu coming up in the third inning. 3-1. Full count.
Yeah, Cabrera's a second baseman that Eric Wedge likes a lot, and he's kind of under the tutelage of first base coach Louis Rivera, who's a pretty good infielder himself, and he's kind of like his protege right now.
really gave the Indians a lift a couple of years ago, coming up from the minor leagues, replacing Josh Barfield at second base, and helped Eric Wedge's team into the playoffs in 2007, and then they finished just one game from going to the World Series. Close pitch, but Zach walks his first. So the leadoff man on for the first time for Cleveland, and now the top of the order in Grady Sizemore. Time now for You Call It, presented by Sprint, with Grady Sizemore at the plate. Who do you think is the top young outfielder in the American League? Grady Sizemore, B.J. Upton, Jacoby Ellsbury, or Curtis Granderson? And Sizemore and Granderson been around for a while, but still young. Text 432-432, enter keyword Royals along with your selection, and we'll update it throughout the game. The Indians a couple of years ago thought about making Grady Sizemore a number 3 hitter, which isn't a bad idea with his power. But it just really wasn't the same. It was a temporary move. In fact, they traded for Kenny Lofton, who had been there for a long time, to come and lead off. Lofton had been playing with the Rangers, but after trying that for a couple of weeks and not getting many results, Sizemore went back to number 1. Lofton went down in the order, and the Indians winning the division, and they had a 3-1 advantage over the Boston Red Sox in the American League Championship Series. But the Red Sox coming back and winning 3 in a row, and then winning the World Series. Two and one.
Brian, if you go back to the 3-2 pitch to Cabrera, you know, being a breaking ball, that's a situation with a 3-run lead in a big ballpark, and you don't have a guy at the plate who is known for hitting home runs. That's when you want to challenge with your fastball on 3-2 and say, okay, go ahead and hit it. You just don't want to walk guys like that.
And now it's 3-1 on Sizemore.
It's kind of a different story with this guy. You know, you 3-1 down the middle to him could be 2 runs on the board.
Hit one up onto the party deck. Instead, back-to-back walks. Zach's going to be careful with Grady Sizemore. Sizemore hit his first major league home run and his first major league grand slam against Zach. So he wasn't just going to lay one in there. Maybe overthrew that 3-1 pitch, and now 2 on, nobody out, getting into the middle of the Cleveland order. With 1 out in the first inning, Shin-Soo Choo doubled, Victor Martinez singled. The Indians had runners at first and third with 1 out, but Zach got out of it with a strikeout of Hafner and a ground out from Johnny Peralta, and getting some help on a great play by Tony Pena Jr. And now we'll try and work around first and second, nobody out.
It's uncharacteristic for Zach to walk back-to-back hitters. You don't see that very often out of him. So defensively now, you just got to make sure you get an out and not try to do too much, and try to get out of this inning with as minimal damage as possible.
Showing bunt and taking a slider high. We'll see how they pitch Shin-Soo Choo. They tried to pitch him inside, and he really got around on a fastball in the mid-90s and doubled into the right field corner. That's Cabrera at second, Sizemore over at first.
Well, he faked a bunt on the first pitch, and that brought Mike Aviles in at third base, so we see which way to go on this one.
1-1. Shin-Soo Choo opened last season on the disabled list. He had Tommy John surgery the year before. 2-1. Wonder if Zach has hit a little mechanical snag here, because there really is no consistency to his pitches. He's kind of all over the place.
Yeah, his fastballs are rough, and he can't seem to make that adjustment right now to get him down. Bob McClure went out probably to make sure he's not landing on his heel, make sure he stays on his toe, and they'll drive the ball back down.
Good pitch there. Chu couldn't pull the trigger. 2-2.
Minor league pitching coordinator Bill Fisher, that's one thing that he does. He drives around in his golf cart and he watches pitchers doing their side work, and every time one's heel hit first, he says, "Hill banger, hill banger." That's all he says. Then the guys get back on their toes again. He'll hop out of his car and he'll say, "Don't you know if you land on your heel, the ball goes up?" He says, "Land on your toe."
And the guys know exactly what that means.
Yeah, he'll be saying, he'll just yell it out real loud, "Hill banger, hill banger."
That's one of the first things that Bob McClure worked with Gil Mesh when he came over before the 2007 season. Zach thinking that the runners might go on a 3-2 pitch.
A lot of times managers won't run with no outs on this situation. In line drive, you got a triple play in the out of the inning. One out, they would try it. But unless you're Mike Scioscia, he'll do almost anything at any time. He just plays an unconventional game. Now, that was one of the things that Kyle Farnsworth credited Bob McClure once they got back from Chicago and had a chance to work. In his last outing, he was just lights out, drove the ball down, and he said that's what he thought he was doing. He got back on his heels and got the ball up. And you guys just have to remember that that's what causes the ball to go up.
Still 3-2. There's also the argument that landing on the toe helps more with the flow of the body and puts less strain on the arm.
Especially if you're in a straight line to the target. Some guys will go across their body, and so there's two things they worked on, was landing on the toe and also developing that straight line to the hitter.
That's what Zach needed. His 5th strikeout.
But sometimes when you're all over the place, it's to your advantage, because you can come back and the hitter's eyes are all messed up. He's been all over the place, so Zach's able to run a fastball over the outside corner.
I think that's true from Little League to the major leagues, that hitters do not want to hear, "Boy, this guy's wild. He's all over the place," right?
Right. You want to focus in an area. You don't want to be up above your head one time, down low, outside, inside. That really messes you up.
Victor Martinez with an infield single in the first inning. That was the ball that Billy Butler knocked down and kept on the infield, preventing Chu from scoring. Just outside.
Well, Zach's ball's running, and there's a pitch that he started pretty much on the outside, and it just kept going. If he could start that in the middle more and let it run, he might get that rollover that he's looking for. Right now, he's just a pitch away from being out of trouble. He pretty much has to decide, what pitch do I need to give me a ground ball, try to get a double play.
At the same time, though, you mentioned earlier in the inning that he wants to limit the damage. I mean, he doesn't really necessarily have to pitch here like it's the bottom of the 9th inning and a tie score, right? I mean, he doesn't have to try and strike everyone out.
No, he doesn't. He basically needs to throw a pitch to get him a ground ball and let his defense get him out of trouble. You don't want to get yourself behind in the count and give the hitter an opportunity to load up on you, and that really could be devastating for him at that point. So as long as you can stay ahead, you got a chance. You get behind, and you limit your chances of being successful.
Another good pitch. Boy, when he has gotten a called strike with his fastball, it's been in spots where the hitters can do nothing with it.
Well, this is pretty much like a four-seamer. This one just stayed straight, and it was about knee-high right down the middle of the plate. And when he tries to get his his ground ball when he tries to throw it too perfect. That's when he throws that two-seamer, but he starts it so far to the outside that it just runs right off the plate.
Through the back door.
Yep, that's that slider. I've seen some of the best sliders so far this year that I've seen in a while. You know, a lot of times when you talk about a guy's slider, it's not really a true slider. And they use the word slur because it's in between the slider and the curveball. But all the pitches I've seen since opening day, they've been true sliders.
Inning open with back-to-back walks to Cabrera and Sizemore. Chu struck out, and Martinez lays off a tough pitch. 2-2.
This is a pitch where Zach really needs to make something happen. He doesn't want it to go 3-2 and get all the runners running at the same time. So he needs to make a pitch here to make Victor Martinez put the ball in play.
And play does. Hit hard to right field. And they're going to hold Cabrera at third base. And look at that throw from Martin. Good decision by the third base coach, Joel Skinner. Otherwise, Cabrera's running right into an out.
Well, we know what Mark can do out there. He charges the ball well. He gets rid of the ball well. He really does a good job. But it's probably a little higher than he normally want it to be. It should be low enough to cut, but he pretty much was going just for the runner at the plate. A throw like that normally, the other base runners will keep going because it's too low to cut. And when it's well over the cutoff man's head, they just keep running.
I don't know if this was Tien's approach, but you can get away with a throw like that here because nobody is going to advance. If the runner at third stops, there's no place for the other two runners to go.
That's only if he keeps going.
Travis Hafner struck out swinging against Zach in the first inning. That was when Zach was working his way out of a first and third and one out. Now trying to work out of a bases loaded one out. A little bit outside. 25 pitch inning for Zach. 3 seasons ago when Travis Hafner was at the top of his game, he tied a major league record with 6 grand slams in 1 year. 5 of those coming before the All-Star break, tying Don Mattingly for the major league record.
I think Zach wants to stay away from having to throw him a first pitch fastball. He tried to wrap that slider on the outside corner again, and this one he threw at the middle of the plate and he came in on his hands and he couldn't pull a trigger on it. It's got some good late break to it.
Two walks, a strikeout, and a single. '06 was the year he hit all the grand slams, had 42 home runs overall. Last year, the shoulder injuries, and Hafner played in just 57 games and hit 197. Really trying to work the outside part of the plate with that breaking ball to Hafner. It's 2-1.
Yeah, he's just trying to stay out of the middle, and he knows if he gets it where he wants it, Hafner will roll over on it and hit a ground ball. The last time he followed that pitch, that slider up on the outside, trying to backdoor it with another slider that ran in on his hand.
Two and two. Slider, 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 slider. Hafner going with, forget about short sleeves, he's going with no sleeves. Of course, he's from North Dakota, so this is probably nothing for him.
This is probably 80 degrees.
Got him. 5 consecutive sliders. Zach has struck out 6.
Zach did a great job. He tried to backdoor that slider on the outside corner twice and missed. And he came in under his swing and got two strikes there, and that one's the strikeout.
Now, strikeouts are fun. And Zach is going to have nights where he's going to have a lot of strikeouts. But it also adds to the pitch count. And with the 2 strikeouts and the 2 walks in this inning, this will be 30 pitches to Johnny Peralta. Not really a big story here in the 3rd inning, but it could be a story as far as how long Zach stays in the game tonight. That'll make it 6 consecutive sliders.
I don't think I've ever seen him throw that many breaking balls consistently, but I think he knows the potential of Johnny Peralta and Travis Hafner. He doesn't want to give in that first pitch fastball down the middle.
Peralta grounded out in the 1st inning, but it was not a routine play. Behind the bag at second, Tony Pena Jr. throwing him out, saving a run.
Well, Zach hasn't had much success this inning with his fastball, so maybe he feels the slider's a pitch he controls better.
Well, by my count, that's 7 in a row.
Yeah, every fastball that he threw early in this inning was up in his zone. He had no command on it. So he said, I can command my slider, so here we go. The one thing about it, you can't throw slider after slider and not expect someone to get on it, so you got to throw perfect sliders. You're going to throw a lot of them.
There you go. Yes! Strikes out the side. Indians had the bases loaded with 1 out. Zach has struck out 7 in 3 innings. Coco Crisp. Billy Butler followed with a double that scored David DeJesus. And then with 2 outs, Alberto Callaspo getting T into the plate and forcing Fausto Carmona to throw 42 first inning pitches. David reached for the walk. It wasn't an easy rally against Carmona. Coco Crisp had a hard-fought walk to get on base. And then DeJesus was down 1-2 before his walk. Martin was down in the count 1-2 when he singled home Crisp. The Royals really worked Carmona over in the first. Sinker really diving last inning, and in this inning he was throwing more closer to the mid-90s, as Frank talked about. That's not where he wants to be because the sinker will straighten out.
Yeah, I think he'll get that pitch if he can get it up in the zone a little bit more, because the home plate umpire has definitely been giving it to him down around the knees.
3 balls, 1 strike. Into right field. Royals have the leadoff man on.
Well, David definitely had come on in a hitting count, 3-1 count, so he had to bring it in there. It's right down the middle, had no sink to it, and David got good extension and drove the ball in the right field. He just hit right down on that one. Yeah, Carmona kind of plays into a lot of the raw hitters. David is pretty much a low ball hitter, along with Cashpo and Jacobs. You know, so those guys are really trying to feast today. At least they're getting some better swings and better pitches.
Tee into the opposite field, got it down around the end of the bat. Boy, that was the pitch he wanted, the swing he wanted. Good looking swing, but just didn't get it on the fat part of the bat. Jesus back to first base. Tonight is the first night that Royals fans have been able to take advantage of Royal Nights, which is a $5 upper level ticket and a $5 parking pass. That's every Monday night except in late September. Buck Nights are back thanks to Independence Honda on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Memorial Day. Select Wednesdays, Fridays. And don't forget about Bob Evans Bases Loaded 4-packs. The Dry Duck fountain seats available for just $7. Some great new ticket offers at brand new Kauffman Stadium in 09. And Martin, boy, he looked like he got the pitch he wanted in the location he wanted. It was didn't quite squared up the way he wanted to.
Yeah, ball probably had a little run to it, a little sink to it, just ran right out the sweet spot of the bat. But that's the direction he went in spring training, and went in that direction with power.
Billy doubled home a run in the first inning. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Carmona's working pretty much in the 89 mile an hour range now, so he's probably gonna get more sink on his fastball. Early in the game it was 94, real strong. Ball straightened out a little bit more.
Two and one. Mentioned that Carmona last year had to deal with a hip injury that put him on the disabled list. He also had the added pressure that a lot of young players deal with when you get a big contract extension. You got a 4-year deal after winning 19 games in 07. DeJesus running. Butler swings and misses, and Martinez sidearm throw couldn't have been any more perfect.
I think Victor Martinez went for quickness more so than accuracy. It's really fortunate that that ball didn't hit David. This is a play here where, if you want, you can't put the runner between you and the ball. You got to get inside and make sure that you're on the inside part, so you can tag the runner. If you put the runner between you and the ball got a chance to hit it.
Still 2-2.
You watch the way David goes in, so you see where the throw is. So the ball easily could have hit David and went into the outfield. how close that came. So when you're playing second base or shortstop, you're taking throws, and you got to always make sure you can get inside and make sure the runner doesn't get between you and the ball.
So you don't wait for the ball to come to you. You have to go to the ball.
If you know your catcher's ball's going to run back toward first base, you have to get inside the bag. And that way you stay, it's you and the ball versus the runner. But when you stay behind the bag like that, now the runner goes between you and the ball. And that's when the ball has a chance to hit the runner, or at least obstruct your vision and go into center field.
Billy broke his bat. Well, that was definitely a hit and run because DeJesus didn't appear to be wanting to get a great jump, and after 2 or 3 steps, he took a long look to see if Butler was going to make contact.
That's one of the things that Trey Hillman wants to try to do is get some guys moving. He wants to play a little bit more aggressively, and you get a single ball pitcher, then that's a real good guy to put a hit and run on with, because your chance of getting a hard ground ball are greater than a fly ball. That's when, as a hitter, you have to cut your swing down, because you're basically just trying to put the ball in play. You're not trying to drive the ball out of the ballpark. So you take a big swing and you get no contact, and the run is thrown out at second base.
Jammed and rolls it to Graffinino. Royals get the leadoff man on, but send just 3 to the plate in the third. In 1 out, Travis Hafner down on strikes, Johnny Peralta down on strikes, and the Indians scoreless in the third. 7 strikeouts for Zach Greinke in 3 innings, but it's forced him to throw a lot of pitches.
He has thrown a lot of pitches, Ryan, and you hope that doesn't take effect in the next couple innings. I think the next inning is going to be a big inning for Zach. If it's a quick inning, then I think he's going to be fine. If he has another long inning like that, it might be a 5th inning, 6th inning exit tonight.
It'll be the 6, 7, and 8 hitters coming up in the 4th inning, beginning with Ryan Garko. 1 ball, 1 strike. Garko also a strikeout victim. Zach got him looking at a fastball for a called 3rd strike. Will be followed by Graffinino and Crow. Three and one. Off the end of the bat, and Tien's going to have to play it on a bounce. So Zach has had moments in this game where he has been overpowering and dominant, but he's only had one 1-2-3 inning. Indians threatened with a couple of base runners in the first and then had the bases loaded in the third. So it hasn't been an easy night, even though Zach has pitched 3 shutout innings.
Well, that's true, Ryan. And I think a lot of times, regardless of how well you're throwing, if you don't get ahead of hitters, sooner or later they're going to catch up because you keep putting them in position to look for a better pitch. And when you're ahead of them, they don't know what's coming. When you get behind, they have a pretty good idea what's coming.
Tony Graffinino comes to the plate. I will answer the question that I threw your way last time he was up. When Tony Graffinino was traded by the Royals to the Boston Red Sox, the Royals received outfielder Chip Ambrose and then re-signed with the Royals during the offseason. Then the Royals traded him to Milwaukee for Tian handles the line drive in right field, trying to double up Garco, and didn't quite get it there in time. You know the answer to that part? Jorge De La Rosa.
I knew that.
Just didn't want to brag, right? So 1 on 1 out after the line out to Tian for Trevor Crowe. Zach got him with a slider and struck him out looking in the second inning. What Zach could really use here is Trevor Crowe. He's very fast. Hit a bullet on one hop to one of the Royals infielders and get out of the inning with about 10 pitches to make up for a 21 pitch second inning and a 32 pitch third. Nails the outside corner. It's 0-2. That's the pitch that Zach used to strike out Crowe, a backdoor slider. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
It looked like Zach has gone away from his earlier pitching plan. Earlier he was getting ahead, and then he was driving the slider down and in the left-handers, getting him to swing over the ball. And lately he's been trying to backdoor the slider more, and he's missing and getting behind.
Right center field, long run for Coco, cuts it down, another chance for a double play. Coco just wasn't in a position to set his feet and throw to first, but Ryan Garco looked like he was convinced that that ball was going to drop. He was almost all the way to second base.
Well, one thing about Coco, you don't really know it, but he looks like a fast guy. When he's going after the ball, he just glides, and it doesn't like he's going to get there, but at the last minute, he's just right there. You know, when you look at the way he caught the ball, he couldn't get his body angle. He just started backpedaling and couldn't get the momentum, couldn't get his feet set.
That's a new feature this year, the hats with the ear flaps. Every year, players trying to find new ways to keep their ears warm, and we've seen guys wear makeshift stocking caps underneath, but this is all just one piece where you can pull the flaps down.
I know. Sometimes I wonder how we made it.
Next thing you know, they're going to have those. Into deep right field, and Tian won't get there on the drive from Cabrera. Garco does not run well, so they'll have to hold him at third base. So if anything, the Royals benefiting from good luck. Runner at first base, Cabrera hits it to the fence, but because of a lack of speed, nobody comes to the plate.
Well, I'd say it always takes the right situation to hold that runner up at third base. We had a situation where Billy Butler was held up because of lack of speed, and here's a ball that goes all the way to the wall with 2 outs, and the runner's running, and he can't score. One thing that Mark did well there is he played the ball well off the wall, too, and got the ball back in pretty quick.
Grady Sizemore struck out to open the game, then walked in the third. So Zach has pitched 4 innings, and in 3 of the 4 innings, he's had 2 or more base runners. Ooh. Well, he just went right at Sizemore, who had a good swing, just didn't make solid contact.
I talked to some of the players, and they all feel like the weather's still a little bit chilly. They don't feel like their bat speed is right where it should be, and they're waiting for it to get a little warmer, so they don't have to wear as many clothes and they feel a little looser. But it's definitely a pitcher's advantage when you're playing in cool weather.
That's funny because I think the broadcasters are also waiting for it to get warmer.
Yeah, they took our window away. There's a heater in here somewhere.
Yeah, you ended up with a space heater somehow.
I'm going to give it to you.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine. I've got my, I'm layered up. Frank's going with the dress shirt and the tie. I've got my long underwear on, which might be too much information, but I'm doing fine. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Sizemore. I don't think Olivo was expecting that pitch. All right, if you insist, I'll take it. This? It's nice. And now, here comes the blanket. Oh, thank you. Now I'm ready to go. Ooh, just missed. Zach has thrown 86 pitches. We're only in the 4th inning. But it's 4 scoreless innings. Olivo gets it down to Butler to complete the strikeout. 8 strikeouts in 4 innings. Jr. behind Zach Greinke.
Well, that's something we really got to see a lot of at the beginning of last season. Some of the great plays that Tony made, and you can see that he still has that great range. but the Royals are just waiting for that bat to come, and I think that's one of the reasons he made this ball club, because he does have that potential.
One ball, one strike on Mike Jacobs, who I predict is going to hit his first home run for the Royals very soon. His swing looks a lot better in the last 3 days than it did in Chicago, and he has just missed several pitches in the last 2 days alone. That ball really riding away from him. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
But that's one of the things that hitting coach Kevin Seitzer was trying to impress upon the guys in spring training was know what you do best. Know if you middle in best or middle away best, and concentrate on that on your first 2 strikes.
Lamar Johnson, who is part of the Royals coaching staff with you, was the Royals hitting coach. I remember he said, the first 2 strikes are yours. The 3rd strike is for the team.
That's true, and that's kind of what they're saying. With 2 strikes, you just widen your zone and forget about hitting home runs. Just try to put the ball in play and force the defense to make a play.
Jacobs, Callaspo, and Olivo in the 4th inning. Carmona shaky in the 1st, but he's retired 6 of the last 7. 2-2. Carmona taking the loss on Wednesday at Texas in his season debut, allowing 6 runs in 5 innings. Rangers swept the Indians. And Jacobs takes the count from 1-2 to 3-2. Carmona giving up a home run in that loss at Texas. Typically doesn't give up many home runs because of his sinking fastball. Deep right center field. Well, you could see it coming, and there it is.
Well, we said all along that Carmona was a perfect pitch for Mike Jacobs' swing, and you, the babe, you made the call. You got a ball that didn't sink down right into his swing. You can never mistake that sound. You know, that sound always sounds good when you hit a home run and hit a ball solid like that.
Well, I'd like to say I'm that smart. If I was, I'd be playing Powerball tonight, but I don't know about you, but I could just see it coming. I mean, he was really timing the pitches well, fouling a lot of pitches back, just missing them. And as you pointed out in his first at-bat, Fausto Carmona, the action on his pitches really works into his strength.
Well, I thought I saw you point right before that swing to the fountains out there, so that was a good call.
Yeah, it's not that I predicted he'd hit a home run, but the fact that I said right center field to the guy in the black jacket with the blue Royals cap, that was pretty impressive.
Well, you know, you can always tell when a guy's real close because you can hit line drive, and before you know it, you got a home run. So you can really tell when a guy's swing is really on and he's just missing. So it's just going to be just a little adjustment to whether it's, and that's what's going to cause him to be able to drive the ball like Mike Jacobs can drive. You don't hit 32 home runs by mistake. You know, you just got to get in your groove, and now you see how long you stay in that groove.
And now a walk to Alberto Callaspo. He's been on base twice. Carmona's 3rd walk. And that really wasn't what you'd call a home run swing, where it's what it looked like he was trying to do, more like just a good line drive swing that carried over the fence.
Well, similar to the ball he hit yesterday down the right field line, it just went foul. You know, he just got through it good, got good extension, and didn't overswing. Because you can always tell when you overswing, you kind of lose your balance. We just stayed right there and stayed on it.
Miguel Olivo struck out against Carmona in the first inning. Carmona's only strikeout.
Right now it looked like Miguel was swinging just a little bit too hard. You know, his head's coming out, and he's not really seeing the ball all the way into the zone. In spring training, he worked hard on trying to hit the ball to the right side, drive the ball in the right center. But sometimes you get in the game, you get a little strong, and you just got to settle yourself down a little bit.
Temperature's supposed to dip down into the low 30s tonight, but it's really going to take a turn for the better tomorrow. Both tomorrow and Wednesday is supposed to climb into the 60s.
The 60s right now probably feel like 85.
Olivo tried to pull that slider that was down and away, and Carmona strikes him out again.
But take a look at his head, Ryan, and see where his head is when he swings. So you see his head coming up already before the ball even gets there. So he really never follows the ball back. And here, the same situation here. That front shoulder comes flying out of there. So he really never follows the ball.
So one down with Callaspo at first. Tony Pena Jr. at the plate. That is a fair ball to Graffinino right at the bag, and Garco making a nice play. TJ heads up trying to get around to the inside. 2 outs. Callaspo moves up to second base. Royals baseball is brought to you by Lumiere Place Casino and Hotel, which presents Go Blue in St. Louis. One lucky winner will be at the Royals-Cardinals game on May the 23rd and enjoy beautiful accommodations at Lumiere Place Casino and Hotels. You can register now at goblueinstlouis.com.
Oh, Charlie Lau, our old hitting coach, he used, when we got in that we were pulling our front shoulder, he would make us over-exaggerate taking a pitch. He would make us actually watch the ball all the way into the catcher's mitt. And they started that in batting practice. You know, you just sit there and you take some pitches, you take your stride, and then you just watch the ball all the way back, and then they'll let you swing. And George Brett, you know, he would do it whenever he felt he was getting a little out front, and that's what he would do. He would just stay back and just watch the ball all the way into the catcher's mitt.
The all-time hit leader in Major League Baseball, Pete Rose, used to do that quite a bit.
Oh, I mean, if you get 4,000 hits.
You might want to try it.
You might want to try it.
I mean, I don't know. The guy's got 4,000 hits. I mean, give it a try. But I remember him. I mean, he would have his eyes on the ball right into the catcher's glove. The thing I've never understood is what's accomplished, and I know maybe it looks cool, but when guys take a pitch and they don't even hardly are in their stance, they don't stride, they just kind of stand there, don't watch the ball back in the catcher. It's like, what does that accomplish?
It's just like a walk in the park.
Coco really working Carmona and making sure that he doesn't try and roll the ball over to the right side. He's fouled off several pitches against the Indians right-hander tonight, and almost all of them off to the third base side. Walked and scored in the first inning, and the Royals 3-run third, grounded out in the second. And the Royals have added their 4th run in this inning on Mike Jacobs' leadoff home run.
Well, since Carmona's velocity's dropped down into that 89 to 90 range, from that 94, the ball's moving a lot more.
And Coco, I don't know if he was sure if that was ball 4 or not, but he laid off a very close pitch to walk for the second time, and that's 4 walks given up by Carmona, and the Royals have 2 on with 2 out. Well, when you have a good meal, no matter where you are, you want to follow it up with dessert. We saw Joel eating some ribs earlier. Now he has found dessert.
All right, so what do you do, guys, after eating some ribs? Well, you come into Sheridan's Frozen Custard. I know it's cold out, but it's not just custard here, which is great all summer, but we've got these big warm cookies. That's phenomenal. And look at this. Look at this, guys. I mean, this is pretty sweet. Unbelievable. Peanut butter, hot chocolate, a little bit of whipped cream there, and Chateau milk, which is the best in the world. All right. Yeah, I know. There's whipped cream all over the place. Got to come out here and check it out.
Now that looked good.
That looked real good.
That's not right.
That's some of the stuff that we never have an opportunity to sample because
no.
Ballpark food is not on our diet. Probably because we can't get there.
Of course, Joel could always bring it up to the booth
if he cares.
If he was a team guy. Couple of walks and 2 on for Mike Aviles. 0 for 2 so far against Carmona. And he's fallen behind 2-0. Both starting pitchers racking up the pitches. Zach Greinke, 87 pitches in 4 innings. And now Carmona is at 93 pitches in 3 2/3 innings. Sharply hit. Graffinino knocks it down and uses his strong arm to get Aviles. It's a 1-run 4th inning for the Royals, which includes Mike Jacobs hitting his first American League home run. 4-0 Royals at the end of 4. Seats after Mike Jacobs launched his first Royals home run. 4-0 KC to the 5th. Here's the James B. Nutter pitch count on Zach Greinke, who has struck out 8 in 4 shutout innings. But that number means, unless Zach has an extremely efficient 5th inning, this is probably his last inning of the night, as Trey Hillman has really kept his guys anywhere from 95 to 100 pitches. This will help. 1 pitch, 1 out to retire Shin-Soo Choo. Now Victor Martinez. Remember, the Royals have several season ticket packages, including 9 and 21 game plans. Perfect plans for people with hectic schedules or the fan who wants to save some money on multiple games. Get the benefits and discounts of a season ticket holder without the long-term commitment. Now that's okay if you're buying tickets. That's not the kind of promo you want if you're entering into a relationship. What?
No comment.
Two singles for Victor Martinez. No balls, 2 strikes. Martinez's first single was an infield single, and a ball that Billy Butler knocked down. Didn't get the out, but kept the ball on the infield dirt and prevented a run. And then 2 batters later, Tony Pena Jr. saved a run, plugging the middle on a ground ball from Johnny Peralta. Martinez is 3 for 3. So down in the count, 1-2. Drives it into center field, 1 on, 1 out for Travis Hafner. Hafner with 2 big strikeouts. He's the guy the Indians wanted at the plate in the first. With runners at first and third and 1 out, Zach struck him out. And he's the guy the Indians wanted at the plate with the bases loaded and 1 out in the third, and Zach struck him out. Time Hafner sees a fastball.
Well, Ryan mentioned earlier about the 2 big strikeouts. They're that slider down underneath his swing, and that's what Zach was going with early in the game. And there's a second one. So both pitches in the same spot. And then Zach went away from that pitch to trying to do the backdoor slider to the outside, and that cost him a lot of pitches. And then he came back inside with that slider and got a few more strikeouts.
So Travis Hafner, who is one of the better power hitters in the American League Central and a smart hitter, does he go up there looking slider? And if that's the case, does Zach pitch him differently the third time? Well, fastball changeup so far in this plate appearance.
Well, Zach is not known to stay the same. He will change, especially if he knows there's a guy at the plate that can hurt him. One of the few changeups of the night.
Pitch that he worked on all spring training. What's the fun thing about Zach? I mean, fastball, changeup. I mean, if you're a hitter right now, you have no idea what he's going to throw.
That's what makes him so dangerous.
And because of that, sometimes you'll get a swing like Hafner.
And that changeup breaking balls before a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, and especially if it's pounded with sliders, you have no clue what's coming. That's number 3 on our list. Now this has got to be an interesting pitch for Zach right here, 0-2.
One ball, 2 strikes. So fastball, changeup, high fastball, backdoor slider. Zach is at 96 pitches.
A lot of times you can go away with a couple of pitches and change, get his eyesight out there, and then the same pitch you struck him out 2 times previous, you can come right back in there again with it.
Well, that's the pitch that he struck him out with in the first and third innings, and this time Hafner wouldn't go for it. So 97 pitches for Zach, and unless Hafner hits a bullet on one hop to Cayaspo to begin an inning-ending double play, it's all pointing towards Greinke's last inning. Martinez at first, 1 out. And again, going to that hard slider, and Hafner learned his lesson first 2 times up, and the count goes from 0-2 to 3-2.
Well, I think he's throwing it enough now that he's gauging it pretty good. So I think he can still throw that pitch, but he's got to get it up a little higher and make it a little more tempting. And I think he can still get him. I think right now 3-2. I think this is a good time to throw that pitch.
Olivo wants a fastball away. Instead, it's over the inside corner. So when you're good, you're really good. Well, you miss your target by that much and still lock up the hitter.
Well, I think Travis had breaking ball on his mind all the way. He never dreamed Zach would throw him a fastball right there. I don't think he could have thrown it in a better spot.
9 strikeouts in 4 2/3 innings, but those strikeouts again have taken their toll. This will be pitch number 100. Victor Martinez, seeing that Zach wasn't paying any attention to him, was on his way to second base. Almost like one of those defensive indifference plays, and Zach backed off the rubber. Well, we forgot about that pitch, the 67-mile-per-hour curveball.
Well, you said it early that you just never know what he's going to throw up there. Now, when you got all these pitches in your arsenal and you're struggling with your fastball and you're trying to find something that works, he went with the slider to one inning because that's the pitch he could command. And so now it looks like he's got his fastball back on track again.
Who was the closest to Zach when you were playing? He was just a legitimate 4-pitch guy that when he was on, he could use any one of his 4 pitches.
I'd say Saberhagen. It was just Saberhagen was pinpoint on the corners, had curveball, but he had the changeup. I didn't throw much of a slider, but just those 3.
Didn't get the call. The curveball was at 72 miles an hour.
And we had David Cohn early, before we traded to the Mets, and we were working him out of the bullpen, so he had that kind of command also.
Three balls, 1 strike. Peralta grounded out in the first. That was the first excellent play by Tony Pena Jr. And then Zach struck out Peralta to get out of that bases loaded mess in the third. Up the middle, easier play for TJ. 5 shutout innings for Zach Greinke. A hat trick for Travis Hafner against Zach Greinke, and the fans.
Strikeouts on the night. He was throwing an assortment of pitches to get those strikeouts. He was using his slider, his backdoor slider down underneath the swing. Had an outstanding running fastball. Even when he went away from his fastball, he still found this slider to be the pitch of choice. He finished tonight with 104 pitches.
In 5 innings, so the bullpen is going to pitch 4 innings tonight. On the other side, Fausto Carmona has had similar issues with his pitch count. He comes into the bottom of the 5th with 94 pitches, with DeJesus, Tien, and Butler coming to the plate. David singled last time up, leading off the 3rd. In the 1st inning, walked and scored. The Royals with 3 in the 1st inning. Tien, Butler, and Callaspo with RBIs. And then the 4th run coming in the 4th on a Mike Jacobs solo home run. Two balls, 1 strike. Right to Ryan Garco. To Carmona, 1 down. Back to You Call It, presented by Sprint, and talking about some of the good young outfielders, in particular center fielders in the American League, not counting any Royals. Who is the best? Right now, 40% of you saying Grady Sizemore, B.J. Upton of the Rays, Jacoby Ellsbury of the Red Sox, Curtis Granderson of the Tigers. Still have time to text in 432-432, keyword Royals, along with your selection A, B, C, or D. Mark Tien singled home a run and scored in that 3-run 1st inning. One ball, 1 strike. Tien starting the season as the Royals' number 3 hitter with a healthy Jose Guillen, but with Guillen injured, Tien has been the Royals' cleanup hitter. His base hit in the 1st inning makes him 10 out of 23 against Fausto Carmona. Last time up, he just missed, driving one to deep left field. Hit it down around the end of the bat. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Carmona had 102 pitches. So both bullpens will be heavily involved tonight. Full count. Said that several times tonight. It hasn't worked for Carmona to get out of some messes with his high pitch count and so many full counts, but Zach Greinke found a way to get out of a lot of messes.
Well, Zach had a few more weapons to go to. He's got good command of his curveball. He's got excellent command of his slider. And I think the slider really saved him because he did lose his fastball. And he said, well, I got to go to what's working. And that's when he threw, I think it was 7 or 8 sliders in a row.
2 runners in the 1st for the Indians, didn't score. Bases loaded in the 3rd, didn't score. 2 more runners in the 4th, 1 more in the 5th, and nobody could cross home plate against Greinke. And Tien not happy, went after that pitch. Carmona strikes out his 3rd. Remember, every Friday and Sunday home game at Kauffman Stadium is a Bob Evans bases loaded 4-pack. That's 4 tickets, each loaded with $10 to use on concessions or merchandise around the ballpark. All for just $60. That's a $100 value over face value. Every Friday and Sunday at Kauffman Stadium, Bob Evans bases loaded 4-packs. Early Butler for right field, and Shin Soo Choo makes the catch. Carmona has one of his more efficient innings of the night, but he's well over 100. Bundled up with the jackets zipped up high, the caps on, blowing into the hands to keep them warm. Great night to take the shirt off. Ryan Garko, Tony Graffinino, and Trevor Crow coming up in the 6th inning, and the Royals will turn it over to the bullpen. And Jamie Wright.
But Jamie's biggest strength is his sinker. He's going to come in there and throw sinkers and sliders, and he pitches with an attitude, and he drives the ball down. Ground balls. If he gets ground balls, he'd be real effective.
Season debut against the Yankees, 3 strikeouts in 2 innings, allowing just 1 hit. Man, how good was the Royals bullpen against the Yankees? 9 2/3 innings, no runs, 16 strikeouts. Two balls, 1 strike to Garko, a strikeout victim against Greinke in the 2nd. Zach struck out 9 in his 5 innings. And then Garko singled leading off the 4th, got all the way to 3rd base, but didn't score. Going to be a tough play. Wright moves well despite his size, and Billy Butler having to handle a 92-mile-an-hour delivery with some sink.
Well, one thing that Billy can't afford to do is stand straight up at first base. You get caught flat-footed, they'll throw the ball right by you over there. But Wright did a great job bouncing off the mound and made a nice play.
Jamie Wright at 6'7", moves very well. Quick feet, has a good move, picked off a runner in that Friday outing against the Yankees. Tony Graffinino is grounded out to short and lined to right. Didn't think that was a strike. Tony spent all of last year in the minor leagues. Into left field, the Jesus coming up to make the play. It's been a tough night for Graffinino. lost a hit on an excellent play by Pena in the second, and now twice he's lined to the outfield.
Well, David's really got a great jump on this line drive. It's almost like every day he's in left field, he gets more comfortable all the time, and he's just continually making great play after great play. He took a great angle at this ball and really caught this ball pretty easy. We have to get those hats a name. Elmer Fudd, maybe? To all those remember who Elmer Fudd is. Let's go on.
That's a good point. I'll bet you there's, what do you think? What age down probably has no idea who Elmer Fudd is? See what the guys in the truck do is they put someone like that on the screen and they just leave him on there hoping we make a comment. I bet you kids 22 years and younger don't know who Elmer Fudd is. You think that's too high? 15 and younger?
I'd say 30.
30 and younger? All right.
Unless they've got kids and watch cartoons.
I think the Elmer Fudd cartoons have been replaced with SpongeBob and Barney, although Barney's not a cartoon. What are we talking about? We now return you to regularly scheduled programming. 3-1 on Trevor Crowe, struck out and flied out.
But Jamie's doing a good job keeping the ball down. He got behind here, so he's got with that sinker being his best pitch. He's probably feel a little more comfortable in this situation than most guys with straight fastballs.
And a 2-out walk. He has such a huge advantage, and I emphasize the word huge, being 6'7" and the sinker. I mean, that downward plane plus the sink.
I think that's why he was able to be so durable last year for the Rangers. I mean, just coming over here and working hard in spring training, earn a spot on the roster. And I think that's what Trey Hillman likes about him is his durability.
Jamie, a former first-round draft pick of the Colorado Rockies 16 years ago, so he's been a professional for a long time. 1993. No, didn't quite get him. He is so quick. Everyone except the first base umpire, Dan Isonia, figured that Trevor Crowe was picked off. It was the right call, but again, Jamie Wright's quick feet has a great move. But Jamie Wright's spending a lot of time on the disabled list, and between 1997 and 2002, and boy, he has really hung in there to stay in the big leagues. He has spent parts of 99, 2000, 2002, 2003, 2004, and 2007 in the minor leagues. So it hasn't been an easy road for him to stay in the big leagues. One ball, two strikes on Asdrubal Cabrera. A walk and a double against Zach Greinke. You just don't really expect guys, and this is not a knock on big guys, but you just don't expect guys 6'7" to be that quick.
Well, his feet are quick, and I tell you, when your feet are that quick and you can set them and get the ball going, and that's why you got that good pickoff move.
Right to Tony Pena Jr. So Jamie Wright makes it 10 2/3 scoreless innings for the Royals bullpen on this homestand. 4-0 Royals, our Sonic Slam inning. And our contestant is Janet Harris from Riverside, Missouri. If the Royals hit a home run in this inning, Janet wins $700. But if the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Janet wins $25 grand from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals. Mike Jacobs, who has already homered, will lead off and face Rafael Betancourt. So both starting pitchers only able to go 5 innings tonight, not necessarily because of performance, more so because of pitch count. Fausto Carmona allowed 4 runs in 5 innings, but 106 pitches. Zach Greinke, certainly not because of performance. 5 shutout innings with 9 strikeouts, but he threw 104 pitches. Jacobs with his first American League home run, leading off the 4th inning.
Well, most first basemen I have their foot against.
Here's the home run from Jacobs against Fausto Carmona, leading off the 4th inning. Now 1 ball, 1 strike. Did we get our signs crossed up? Okay. The 2 balls, 1 strike.
But we were talking about a first baseman, though.
Well, we were. Who just happens to be the DH. You know, Frank, as I've always said, you can't beat fun at the old ballpark. Right, Jacobs would like to have that pitch back. 2-2. Carmona was throwing Jacobs a steady diet of pitches out over the plate and down, which works right into Jacobs' swing, and just got the feeling he was going to lean into one, and that's what he did leading off the 4th. Still 2-2. Rafael Betancourt had an excellent year for the Indians 2 years ago. 1.48 ERA. He walked 9 all season long, but slipped last year, and ERA went from 1.48 to 5.07. Walks allowed went up. Home runs allowed went up. Jacobs having a good at-bat, 3-2.
Well, he's got him pretty much where he wants him right now. He just got to make sure he gets his pitch.
Biggest problem the Indians had last year, aside from injuries, was an ineffective bullpen. And we're thinking that with the team going so deep into the playoffs, 1 game from the World Series in 07, a lot of young guys pitching deep into October. Some of those guys had never pitched into September, let alone October. And it wasn't just Betancourt, but a few guys. Mentioned Fausto Carmona, the starting pitcher for the Indians. Had a big drop off after 2007. Great at bat. Laid off some borderline pitches and opens the 6th inning with a walk. Betancourt doesn't agree. We showed you Jacobs' home run. The first 3 coming in the 1st inning, 2 walks to the first 3 hitters. Crisp and DeJesus. Martinez base hit, scored Coco. Billy Butler's double scored David DeJesus. And then with 2 outs, Alberto Callaspo's single scored Martinez. So a 3-run first inning, and then Jacobs' home run in the 4th. And the Royals, after scoring 8 runs in the first 5 games, have scored 10 runs in the last 2 games. Strike 1 to Callaspo. After that RBI single in the first, he walked in the 4th. Out of play, 0-2.
The one thing about Alberto last year was the thing that Trey talked about was his ability to see pitches, work deep counts. But lately he's been swinging a lot of first pitches and not giving himself a chance. So this is a good situation where if he's more selective and take a few more pitches, get into a hitting count, this would be a great hit and run situation for Trey Hill.
Seals 2 kids. One of them had a St. Louis Rams ski cap. The other one had a Chiefs jacket. This is football weather. You can find a Royals ski cap, but I think you'd have to look long and hard to find a Royals parka. There's a hooded sweatshirt. On cold nights like tonight, you have to pull out some of the football gear.
Yeah, this would be a good night for blanket night.
Callaspo, a very difficult hitter to strike out. Good hand-eye coordination. In the minor leagues, coming up in the Angels system, was always among the league leaders and toughest to strike out. Another switch hitting infielder from the Angels organization. Strikes him out with a fastball in the outside corner. So a walk and a strikeout for Betancourt to begin the bottom of the 6th inning. Royals baseball tonight brought to you by Kia Motors. To learn more, visit kia.com, and by Heineken. Give yourself a good name. Now Miguel Olivo happy to see Fausto Carmona out of the game. Carmona struck him out twice. By doing that, breaking balls down in a way that Olivo is trying to pull.
Yeah, he's trying to pull the ball and he's pulling his front shoulder, which eventually pulls your head off the ball. He normally likes to work the ball in the right center, especially in batting practice. So right now, I think he's just swinging a little too hard.
As you pointed out just the other day, harder doesn't normally result in farther.
A lot of times, you just get what you get. You just miss the ball because you're trying that little extra you take to swing harder. The ball speeds up and gets by you. Did a good job with 2 strikes. So they just hit a line drive back through the middle.
Look out. And a guy like Miguel Olivo is so strong, he doesn't have to swing that hard.
He really doesn't. He's got enough power to drive the ball straight away. But sometimes when some hitters guess, and when they guess and they want to get their pitch, and they're going to swing regardless of where it's at.
Mike Jacobs with a leadoff walk, followed by an Alberto Callaspo strikeout. 4-0 Royals, bottom of the 6th. Still 1-2. Rafael Betancourt once was a professional middle infielder. And while he was in the Red Sox organization, they made him a pitcher. He grew up in Venezuela, hoping someday to be a shortstop like his hero Omar Vizquel, who had a long career with the Cleveland Indians. And then those two were teammates in Cleveland in 2003, 2004. Still 1 ball, 2 strikes.
He did a much better job staying on those last 2 pitches, like he's just trying to put the ball in play. Well, the Red Sox did that a lot in the 90s and throughout their minor leagues. They took a lot of players with good arms and turned them into pitchers. Ron Mayhew was one of those guys.
Not many guys like Ron Mayhew, though, actually make it to the big leagues as a position player before being turned into a pitcher. Ron Mayhew, and I believe you witnessed this. Did you see his first major league hit and home run?
I was there.
The Boston Red Sox coaching staff, and that same year during the offseason decided that he would take the mound. And in less than 3 years, Ron Mayhew was back in the big leagues again as a pitcher. Does that make the list?
Number 4. I think early in the count he probably had a much different swing at that ball. I think he's really just making himself slow down a little bit and trying to work the ball back through the middle the other way.
Out of play. See, sometimes a hitter will have a long at bat like this and maybe doesn't have the best swings, but just extending the possibility of the pitcher making a mistake. But Betancourt wins this one, and hard-breaking ball down and away. Second straight strikeout after the walk to Mike Jacobs. Now Tony Pena Jr. TJ twice is grounded out to Graffinino at third base. There are a lot of players on the field right now that were influenced by Omar Vizquel. Mentioned Rafael Betancourt, growing up in Venezuela, wanted to be the next Omar Vizquel. When Tony Pena Jr.'s father was at the end of his career and playing for the Cleveland Indians, TJ used to take ground balls alongside Omar Vizquel. And the Indians' current second baseman also grew up idolizing Omar Vizquel, as Drupal Cabrera, who was a shortstop in the Mariners organization, following right along the lines of Vizquel, who came up with the Mariners and then moved to the Indians. And Cabrera wearing number 13, which was Vizquel's number, so copying his idol's number, and is a switch hitter just like Omar Vizquel.
Well, Omar made himself a hitter, but fielding-wise, he was so smooth. I mean, there's nothing that he could do. He'd go back in the outfield and he'd catch balls over his shoulder as well as anyone. It made it look so easy. He was the master at the high hop, bare hand throw, and he'd get to second base on a double play, and he'd just jump straight up in the air and make that play. He was just so much fun to watch.
He was asked once, how do you make those plays look so easy, and his response always was, I played on some bad fields growing up. So there is no such thing as a bad hop in the big leagues compared to the fields that he played on. .92 miles an hour. A walk, 3 strikeouts for Bettencourt in the 6th. April the 25th, because the Royals will give him a jersey. This Royals replica jersey given to the first 20,000 fans that'll come out and watch the Royals and the Tigers at 6:10, courtesy of Fox Sports Kansas City, with the number 40 to commemorate the 40th anniversary of Royals baseball in Kansas City. Who is dressed appropriately? The guy without the shirt or those guys?
Those guys are probably more comfortable. He's got his chew in.
Second inning for Jamie Wright. To Cayaspo at second base. Grady Sizemore is 0 for 3. First time he's put the ball in play. A walk and 2 strikeouts against Zach Greinke. On again tomorrow night with Kyle Davies, who pitched his 7 shutout innings on Thursday in Chicago against Carl Pavano, who lost his first start. That's our next HD telecast, brought to you by Time Warner Cable. 7:10 first pitch. Royals Live with Joel Goldberg and Jamie Quirk at 6:30. Hope you can join us. It'll be in the 60s. Shin-Soo Choo doubled in the first inning as the Indians were trying to mount a rally against Zach Greinke. First and third and 1 out. Zach got out of it with a strikeout and a great play at short by Tony Pena Jr. Since then he has struck out and fly to center. Shin-Soo Choo is another player currently with the Indians, who was originally with the Seattle Mariners. He is from South Korea and was signed by former Royals pitcher Jim Colburn, who was the Pacific Rim scout for the Mariners. Jamie Wright again, he moves well and makes a good play to retire Shin-Soo Choo. That's not the best play he's had this year, however. This was Friday against the Yankees.
Well, it's almost like he actually saw that ball coming and decided he was going to put his foot out there, and he did a great job. Then we talked about how quick his feet were, and then and when he got that pick off, and now here's that high hopper. It just makes that play look easy right there. Nice poise, didn't get in a hurry. Did a great job.
Now trying to retire Victor Martinez for the first time, who was 3 out of 3 against Zach Greinke, all singles. If Billy Butler doesn't knock down Victor Martinez infield single, at least keep it on the dirt, and Tony Pena Jr. doesn't make a play on a ground ball, this is a completely different game. Indians look like they had something going in the first. Zach got out of it, and Zach had a 1-2-3 second, got himself out of a bases loaded 1 out in the third. 2 on, 2 out in the fourth, got out of it. 1 out single in the fifth, got out of it. Two and 1 to Martinez.
You know, Ryan, I think Bob McClure and Trey Hillman are really feeling good about having a guy like Jamie Wright on the staff. He's a guy who not only can go multiple innings for them, but he can also come in and throw that sinker and get that ground ball.
"75 games for the Texas Rangers last year. Butler going to take it to the bag himself. So on this homestand, the Royals bullpen has pitched 11 2/3 scoreless. Here's one yesterday.
Well, he jumped on a high fastball and really drove it on the day that we didn't think the ball was carrying. But he did an outstanding job of getting on top of it. And that triple is one of the most exciting plays in the game.
And as he leads off the bottom of the 7th inning, our Firestone leaderboard will show you the triples leaders from last year. David DeJesus leading the way with 7. Coco 0 for 1, but 2 walks. Walked and scored in the Royals' 3-run first inning. Tien Butler and Cayaspo driving in runs. Royals' 4th run in the 4th on a Mike Jacobs solo homer. Rafael Betancourt replacing Fausto Carmona. Last inning, walked Mike Jacobs, but then struck out Alberto Callaspo, Miguel Olivo, and Tony Pena Jr. Two and one on Crisp.
Carmona and Bencourt both seem to be working Coco Crisp to the outer half of the plate, and he's got a lot of balls fouled off to that side. They probably know that his power is probably middle in, and that's where he drives the ball.
Two and two. Well, Bobby Jenks found that out the hard way on Thursday in Chicago. Middle in ended up in the right field seats for a 2-run home run. Crisp, Aviles, and DeJesus in the bottom of the 7th. Still 2 and 2. Speaking of giving away jerseys, looks very similar to the one that Fox Sports Kansas City gave away last year, that powder blue jersey, which was a very popular giveaway. Up the middle, but right at Johnny Peralta. We have seen more lineouts to the shortstop on this homestand. So one down for Mike Aviles. If you'd like a jersey similar to that young fan, you can go to the official online pro shop of the Royals and shop the largest online selection of Royals caps, t-shirts, jerseys, and more. It's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Go get your gear straight from the source, the Royals.com pro shop. Aviles starting the season as the Royals' number 9 hitter and starting shortstop, but because of injuries, batting second, and tonight playing at third base. Mike Aviles spending most of his minor league career as a shortstop, but in his last 3 years at AAA Omaha really moved around because of other players. In 2006, he played a lot of third base where he is tonight because Andres Blanco was at AAA and the Royals wanted him to play shortstop. And then Aviles played quite a bit at second base the next year in 2007 because Angel Baroa, another shortstop, was at AAA. So he goes away from his natural position, but may have added to his worth, proving that he could play third base and second base.
Well, that's true. When I had him, he played shortstop for me in 04, and we kind of moved him around toward the end. We played him like 2 or 3 days at second, a couple days at short, a few days at third. So he's been one of those guys that really had to work hard. He was a $1,000 sign guy. And the thing about Mike is that he always loved to be out in the field. And the biggest problem wasn't his fielding, it was more his throwing at that time.
Knocked the mask right off the face of the home plate umpire, Sam Holbrook. But thankfully, his face stayed on his head.
Those masks are really so light, you know, it's kind of hit that those little wings that stick out on the side, kind of flip it around. Some umpires wear that hockey helmet where the ball just glance off and just keep going on back to the screen. They don't get that solid blow.
Still 3-2. Royals really battling Betancourt. So as we talked about a couple of games ago, game is not on the line. It's late in the game, and managers love to see the players still working hard.
Well, they don't want to. I mean, they got to battle for every swing, and they don't want to give anything away up there. I know knowing Kevin Seitzer, he's not going to let him go up there and just say, well, it's late in the game. We got the game. Let's go through the motions. So these guys want to hit, and they just, a lot of them just have some tough pitches to hit. They just haven't got that pitch that they handle in their zone and find themselves down by 2 strikes. And now here Mike is just trying to protect the plate.
Fouling off pitch after pitch. We saw Masa Kobayashi warming up in the Indians bullpen. Next pitch to Aviles in this at bat will be the 10th. Drives it into right field, but into the wind and caught by Shin-Soo Choo. So 2 down, and now Panera Bread takes us around the American League to see what's going on. White Sox and Tigers. Tigers taking the loss, dropping to 500. The Rays 15-5 over the Yankees. I wonder if Evan Longoria homered again in that one. 5 home runs already for Longoria. Orioles and the Rangers playing a Rangers type of a game, 10-9. Blue Jays are off to a 5-2 start. They're leading the Twins 8-6 as Masa Kobayashi comes in with 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th. At first pitch, but it's going to be a warm one tomorrow. 4-0 Royals, bottom of the 7th, and after Rafael Betancourt got the first 2 outs, needed 10 pitches to get Mike Aviles. Eric Wedge bringing on Masa Kobayashi, his second year with the Indians, coming over from Japan, where he spent 9 seasons, had 227 career saves. His setup man in Japan was Yasuhiko Yabuda, who's now at AAA with the Royals. There are only 3 pitchers in Japan history who have 200 career saves. Kobayashi, one of them. The other 2 also played in the big leagues. Kazuhiro Sasaki, who is a sensation with the Seattle Mariners, was Rookie of the Year one year, and he was their closer in 2001 when the Mariners won 116 games. And then Shingo Takatsu, who pitched briefly with the Chicago White Sox. Deep left center field, but Sizemore has a beat on it, and the inning is over. Royals down in order in the 7th. On to the 8th. 4-0 KC. Features at Kauffman Stadium, the outfield experience. That's also a great place to go tonight when the temperature is dipping out into the 30s. And we're getting ready for Boulevard Royals Live with Joe Goldberg and Jamie Quirk. They'll be in Rival Sports Bar with analysis and highlights for what we hope will be the Royals' 4th victory of the year. Kyle Farnsworth now coming on for the 8th inning after Jamie Wright pitched 2 scoreless innings. So again on this homestand, 3 games against the Yankees and now 7 innings against the Indians. Royals bullpen 11 2/3 innings, no earned runs, and 16 strikeouts. It'll be Hafner, Peralta, and Garco in the 8th. Travis Hafner was a .348 career hitter against Zach Greinke with a home run. But tonight, he was 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. And all 3 of those strikeouts coming with men on base.
There were some tough sliders. Zach fed him, and the last time up, he laid off a couple of tough sliders, and Zach sneaked a fastball right on the inside corner with 3-2 count.
Two balls, 1 strike. Hafner with home runs in 3 consecutive games coming in tonight. And the Indians with 11 home runs as a team, 2nd most in the American League. We got 3 Royals on the right side, and that's Butler on the line. Travis Hafner is 0 for 4. So another good night on the mound so far for the Royals, who have allowed just 19 runs so far. That's the fewest in the American League. The Indians, 55, the most in the American League. We just talked about this the other day, Frank. Every team obviously would like to have both facets working, pitching and offense. But if one's working and one isn't working, there's a perfect example that the one you want to work always is pitching.
Always is pitching. Pitching holds runs down, and good pitching always keeps the defense comes along with good pitching. So you hope you can get a timely hit and do some little fundamental things to get some runs.
Johnny Peralta 0 for 3. Two and two. Farnsworth giving up the home run to Jim Thome on Tuesday in Chicago, but then bouncing back on Friday against the Yankees and striking out the side. .97 miles an hour.
Kyle's doing a real good job of trying to keep the ball down, and we talked about earlier how he's working on trying to land on his front foot and stay off his heel. And he said that was the reason that he was throwing the ball high. And he said that's the first time he's ever heard that. Someone telling him that you can't land on your heels, because he's always done that. So Bob McClure and Bill Fisher, the minor league pitching coordinator, they worked with him in spring training on that.
1 out walk. This is one of those mental games a pitcher has to play with himself. 4-0 game, and Farnsworth has some cushion to work with here, but play that mental game and tell yourself, okay, it's a 1-0 game.
Well, you have to come out and you have to just pitch aggressively, and out of the bullpen, the number one thing is you got to throw strikes, and you got to put the ball in play, and you don't want to walk guys and create innings that aren't there.
Slider at 87 miles an hour to Ryan Garco. 4th inning single, 1 for 3. Billy Butler over near the dugout suite. And that's out number 2 in the 8th inning.
Now this is what we're talking about, Ryan, that front landing foot. The thing he's trying to do is stay off it, keep from letting his heel hit first. He wants to make sure he drives a toe down, which will bring the ball down.
It's subtle, but the toe hit first. I'll bet pitchers who try and make that change will say, well, my toe is hitting first because it's so close.
And sometimes you can overstride, and you can also land flat, and which will also cause the ball to go up also. But the main thing they want him to do is try to drive the toe down, and that kind of frees the hips up to get the ball down. And maybe that, along with a straight line to the target, will drive the ball down in the zone to give you that down angle that most pitchers want.
That is a nasty pitch. 88 miles an hour. There are several pitchers in the major leagues who would like to have a fastball at 88. Farnsworth has a slider at 88.
He's always had a great arm.
And then comes back with a fastball at 97. Right center field, Mark Teahan out there tonight. And Farnsworth makes it 12 2/3 scoreless for the bullpen on this homestand. breakfast sandwiches, a new yogurt parfait, and fresh coffee at Panera. And fresh coffee sounds good on a cold night at Kauffman Stadium. But a good night for the Royals so far. 3 in the first, 1 in the fourth, 4-0 lead. Kyle Farnsworth turning in a scoreless 8th. Jamie Wright, 2 scoreless innings out of the pen before him. And Zach Greinke, 5 shutout innings to open the game. Mark Teahen singled to drive in the first run back in the first, and then scored the final run on a Alberto Callaspo base hit. Routine to left field for Trevor Crow. Mark Teahen 1 for 4. Tonight's copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Kansas City Royals. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Club. Billy had a hand in that 3-run first inning, a double to straightaway center field. Royals getting all 4 runs off of Fausto Carmona. We've been watching this guy all night, who's gone shirtless. And now he has found his shirt, which he stole from Clarence in the movie It's a Wonderful Life. Tony Graffinino at third base. And Billy Butler is 1 for 4. Now the Indians bullpen is retired 8 in a row. Mike Jacobs, first home run as a Royal back in the 4th inning. 1 for 2 with a walk.
One thing about Mike Jacobs right now, Ryan, is I know he squared the home run up, but he's also getting other good pitches to hit, so he's still probably not quite as sharp as he wants to be. He's falling off some good pitches down in the zone.
And now to deep left field. That is not the place to hit the ball tonight. I'll bet Mike Jacobs has hit balls like that before that have gone over the fence, but into the cold crosswind, it's a fly out to left tonight. We go to the 9th. Stay tuned for Boulevard Royals Live. Joel Goldberg and Jamie Quirk from Rival Sports Bar out in right field. Highlights and analysis. Royals 3 outs away from moving above 500 to 4-3. And it'll be Ron Mayhay in the top of the 9th inning with Trevor Crowe as Drupal Cabrera and Grady Sizemore.
Ron will be throwing a fastball, slider, and changeup. But he said his chance, they call it a split. He said it's really a split, but everybody calls it a changeup.
Based on the action, I guess.
Based on the action, yes.
He had a great season for the Royals last year, and the only thing that held him back was a left foot injury. Trevor Crowe is on base for the second time, batting right-handed for the first time tonight. Walked back in the 6th. He's make that 1 for 3. And now another switch hitter coming up as Drupal Cabrera. And then Mayhay had surgery on that left foot during the offseason. So the Royals were careful with him in spring training. Didn't get a whole lot of work, but was ready to go once the regular season began. We were talking about him earlier in the game, discussing Rafael Betancourt, the Indians reliever, when he was in the Red Sox chain and they converted him from infielder to pitcher. Ron Mayhay, back in 1995, played in 5 games for the Boston Red Sox. Got his first major league home run against the Angels and Mike Butcher, who just happens to be the Angels pitching coach now. But then he was struggling in the 1995 Australian Winter League and asked his manager if he could pitch. So he started the next season, 1996, as a pitcher, throwing 92 miles an hour. And one of the minor league pitching coaches that really helped the transition for him, helped him get back to the big leagues, was Al Nipper, who spent some time as the Royals pitching coach.
When I first saw Ron, I was managing rookie ball for the Red Sox, and he was in A-ball, Florida State League, playing center field. Good speed, great arm. And in '95, that was the year we won the Eastern Division Championship with the Red Sox, and he got a chance to come up and play.
Well, the Indians are one base runner away from bringing the tying run to the plate. And we know all about their power. Back-to-back singles, which means that Joakim Soria now is going to go from just playing catch in the Royals bullpen to getting ready to perhaps come into the game. And Miguel Olivo going out to the mound, and this has all the earmarks of following direction from the dugout to go out to the mound.
Well, that's true. They want to make sure Soria gets an ample opportunity to warm up with it being as cool as it is, but this is a game that was in a non-save situation, and Trey Hillman would probably prefer not to use him tonight if he didn't have to.
And out comes Trey. So he's not going to waste any time at all. He has not pointed to the bullpen yet. Now he has. So there's a reason why you have Joakim Soria on the roster for situations like this. situation as Joaquin Soria comes on. Trevor Crow and Asdrubal Cabrera, the 8 and 9 hitters, reaching against Ron Mayhay. And Trey Hillman's thinking, hey, I'm not going to allow this to get out of hand. We've got Joaquin Soria for a reason. And they bring him on with the top of the order coming up. Well, Trevor Crow with a single, followed by Asdrubal Cabrera.
Yeah, this is probably a situation where Trey was probably hoping he wouldn't have to use Joaquin tonight, but once two men got on, he figured that I better get my ace in the game.
And a base hit to right field for Grady Sizemore. Bases loaded, nobody out. So the 8-9-1 all coming up with singles. The Indians have stranded 10. They had their chances against Zach Greinke. Didn't have much of an opportunity against Jamie Wright or Kyle Farnsworth, and now a golden opportunity in the final inning. Shin-Soo Choo doubled about 3 hours ago. And he's into right field. So the Indians are on the scoreboard. It's 4-1. They've come out swinging here in the 9th inning. And now you're starting to get into the dangerous part of the batting order with Victor Martinez and Travis Hafner coming up. Still nobody out. Tying runner is at first base.
I think teams kind of know Joaquin Soria. They know he likes to throw first pitch strike, and I think right now it might be a matter of him just missing location. But they're swinging at everything that comes up there right now. And when you talk about location, the ball right here is supposed to be down on the outer half. And when you miss location, go middle in, that's when those balls get hit.
And Shin-Soo Choo proved in the first inning he can hit that pitch.
Well, he just drove it and definitely got those hands inside and kept that ball fair right inside the right field line. So normally Joaquin Soria hits the catcher's mitt, and right now Oliva wanted it down and to the outer half, and he left it into the middle half.
And now a hitter who's had a good night, Victor Martinez, 3 out of 4. Tough matchup the way the Indians are lined up in this inning. 3 switch hitters. So Soria's the easy decision, being the Royals' lights out closer, but trying to match up here. Crow, switch hitter, Cabrera, switch hitter, and 2 left-hand batters in Sizemore and Choo, and now Martinez, switch hitter. Martinez, by the way, 1 for 3 in prior at bats against Soria. And now getting away from Olivo. So it's a 4-2 game, and now the tying runner's at second base with nobody out.
You know, normally, Ryan, when a catcher asks for a breaking ball, they really want to go and block the ball. They want to tuck those shoulders in. They want to push the ball back out toward the infield. But on that breaking ball, Miguel Olivo tried to backhand it and hit off the heel of the glove and went back to the backstop.
On the corner for strike 2. Well, Joaquin Soria needs to tear a page out of Zach Greinke's book. Zach dealing with base runners all night, but when he needed a strikeout, he was able to get it. And there's the first one. Curveball at 70 miles an hour. So the big first out of the inning. Second and third, one down.
Well, Joaquin can do this. Zach Greinke can do that. They can throw that ball that slow and still command it and get the hitters way out front. And that was a huge strikeout right there.
Sizemore at third. The Royals are not that worried about him. They are concerned about Shin-Soo Choo, the tying runner at second base. Travis Hafner 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts, all those against Greinke. He grounded out against Kyle Farnsworth on the corner. So maybe poor location and the singles that he gave up to Sizemore and Choo, but now he's just painting that outside edge.
Well, that's what he's known for right there. If he can stay right there, it's going to be hard to get hurt right where he threw that pitch there.
One ball, one strike. Again, Hafner coming in tonight having homered in each of the last 3 games against the Toronto Blue Jays Friday, Saturday, and yesterday.
I think Soria and Olivo are really aware of Hafner's power, and they look like they're trying to stay away from him, not to give anything to his power. He got first base open, and they don't like they want to go mess around inside and give him something to pull.
Change up back to Soria, going to freeze the runner and throw out Hafner. That's why the topic comes up from time to time. Should Joaquin Soria be a starting pitcher? Because he is a 4-pitch closer. There aren't many of those.
He's a 4-pitch closer with command also. If there's that change up, the ball really drops down. That's one of those change-ups that go down and away from a left-handed hitter, and Hafner rolled over on it and hit it right back to Soria.
But the inning isn't over, and now it's Johnny Peralta 0 for 3 with a walk. If you're wondering about Peralta and Soria, Johnny Peralta is 3 for 10. Soria has struck him out a couple times. Two and 0. Well, you've got an open base to work with, even though Peralta would represent the go-ahead run.
I think the one thing Soria doesn't want to do is he just doesn't want to give in to him. So that's why that open base is so important over there.
Well, he went at him with a fastball on 2 and 0. Soria's also hit him with a pitch. Three and one.
I think Soria's going to be real careful with this pitch. He don't want to get thrown through anything to his power, so they'll probably go to the outer half.
Well, Peralta is 3 for 10, so he's had some success. Waiting on deck is Ryan Garco, who's just 1 for 9 against Soria with 5 strikeouts. But Soria is just going right at Peralta.
Well, it's okay to go at him if you're going on the outside corner. The old adage is, if you're going to beat me, beat me the opposite way.
Slow curve. Was there ever any doubt? Things getting a little hairy in the 9th inning, but Joaquin Soria, with the bases loaded and nobody out,